Wicknell Chivhayo has promised Professor Jonathan Moyo a car of his choice. He has actually promised him to ferry him using his vehicle should Professor Jonathan Moyo consider coming back to Zimbabwe. Why would Wicknell Chivhayo make such offers? It is quite clear Professor Jonathan Moyo has been at the center of assisting Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa to mutilate the constitution of Zimbabwe. In fact, the draft or the bill that is currently, sitting with Zimbabwe having been actually introduced to the cabinet of Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa and approved by that particular cabinet is a product of Breaking Barriers document, a document that was crafted by Professor Jonathan Moyo with another fellow. I think it must be Mbambani. Greetings and welcome this lovely morning on your lovely channel, the Hloniphani Global News. If you're watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. So Wicknell Chivhayo posting about 12 hours ago, he says the professor has spoken. Nothing could be further from the truth. Prof Jonathan Moyo, the proposed constitutional amendments, which include the extension of presidential and parliamentary term limits, are nothing new in the history of Zimbabwe and must be understood within our constitutional evolution and the continuous development of our political and democratic space. In fact, what has been proposed in a democratic standard is, in fact, he said what has been proposed is a democratic standard across much of Southern Africa and globally, including jurisdictions such as South Africa, Botswana, and even the United Kingdom, where the Prime Minister is elected from among parliamentarians chosen by the electorate. Those making noise or desperately attempting to scandalize the wisdom in this constitutional amendment are either genuinely ignorant of our political history or unfamiliar with the constitutional structure through which leadership is elected in the majority of democratic states nationwide. Like any other sovereign state, Zimbabwe is perfectly entitled to refine its political and governance architecture within the bounds of the constitutionalism and as the ruling deems most appropriate in the interest of the masses. Is this in the interest of the masses? That is the mind-boggling question. Definitely, this is not in the interest of the masses. This is in the interest of Zwikanandas, such as Wicknell Chivhayo. He goes on to say, I must acknowledge the importance of opinion leaders such as yourself, Professor. You have consistently demonstrated beyond doubt over the years that you are an experienced strategist whose contributions to political matters is well informed. You have been one of the architects of some of the most developmental policies that continue to empower our people to this very day. Perhaps it is time to come back home because home is best. Our revolutionary mass party, ZANU-PF, is ZANU-PF a revolutionary mass party? Who support it? Because a revolutionary mass party is a party that is supported by masses. ZANU-PF is no longer supported by masses in Zimbabwe. That is the truth of the matter. Someone says our revolutionary mass party, ZANU-PF, embraces the principle of being a friend to all and an enemy to none. Should you decide to return, I would personally, listen to this, come and pick you from the airport in my 2026 Rolls Royce and chauffeur you home safely. Then the next morning you make your way to see Victor and you collect brand new car of your choice. Your learned mind and meshed intellectual capacity as a political strategist remains second to none. What did Jonathan Moyo write which actually prompted Wicknell Chivhayo to say this? He wrote in support of the recommendations questions that he has actually submitted to Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa. He said, presidential election tidbits. Between 1980 and 1990, the head of the executive in Zimbabwe was not directly elected. The direct election of the president was first introduced in 1990 under Constitution of Zimbabwe, Amendment number 7, Act 23 of 1987, which inaugurated the executive presidency. With SADC in Angola, the president is elected indirectly in terms of the 2010 Constitution. Voters elect members of the National Assembly, Parliament, and the individual at the top of the candidate list for the political party that wins the most seats automatically becomes the president. Direct presidential elections in Angola were last held in 1992. We are not Angola, by the way. Number one thing that I would say, let me see, I think he responded something because people commented. I'm interested to see. Someone says ED has sat in every cabinet since 1980. That is 46 straight years. What is it that he intends to achieve? Is he now Monomutapa? Why are the same authorities not keen to have proportional representation for electing MPs? It dilutes inflated majority. Professor Jonathan Moyo responding, this is not true. He was not a member of cabinet in 2000 to early 2005, the period he was Speaker of Parliament. Second, Zimbabwe uses a hybrid electoral system that combines first past the post and proportional representation to elect MPs. You know, Professor Jonathan Moyo will just make a petty argument, because especially if you make a mistake of actually putting out historical facts. This person was saying he has been in cabinet for 46 years. He's challenging that. He says in 2000 to early 2005, he was the Speaker of Parliament. In Zimbabwe, a Speaker of Parliament is good as the member of the executive, because there is no separation of powers. There isn't separation of powers like other countries where a separation of powers exists. Someone says, do all these presidents who are indirectly elected by parliament or otherwise only attend parliament during SONA and don't answer questions for MPs? The current proposed amendments don't address the above. ED Mnangagwa can't take oral questions and therefore can't be elected by MPs. Someone says those kind of modalities are never found in a constitution, but in the standing rules and orders of parliament, to which the clause repealing and substituting section 92 refers. So, you know, with arguing with Professor Jonathan Moyo, it's just a waste of time. Now, I want to tackle the issue of Jonathan Moyo coming back to Zimbabwe. Has Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa forgiven Professor Jonathan Moyo? Number one is that Mnangagwa is not a forgiving president, is not a forgiving human being. I think he should ask from Walter Mzembe. What happened to Walter Mzembe was lured. In a similar manner, Professor Jonathan Moyo is being lured. As much as Professor Jonathan Moyo assisted Mnangagwa to mutilate the constitution, Mnangagwa also, the other quality of Mnangagwa is that he actually thrives on using the people. So Professor Jonathan Moyo was used, as much as also Professor Jonathan Moyo is a political strategist. Wicknell Chivhayo was right to say so. Remember what Mnangagwa did to Professor Jonathan Moyo in 2017, and also what he did during the July, during the, what do they call this, the Cholocho Declaration. Professor Jonathan Moyo hasn't forgotten those things. Professor Jonathan Moyo and Mnangagwa, they are almost similar. That is why, as much as he has assisted Mnangagwa. This assistance should not be viewed as assistance for Mnangagwa to stay in power. Professor Jonathan Moyo has assisted Mnangagwa to commit a political suicide. You will actually get to see this in the next coming days to come. Now, why would he do so? It's a revenge. Professor Jonathan Moyo in 2018, who are the people who wronged him? It is Chiwenga and also Mnangagwa. By then, they were friends, they were buddies. And through the assistance of Professor Jonathan Moyo to Emerson Tambudzo Mnangagwa, he has made Mnangagwa and retired General Chiwenga to be enemies at the moment. And he has also made Emerson Tambudzo Mnangagwa, especially for the deep state, to think twice about him. And there is high probability that the next moves that will be taken against Emerson Tambudzo Mnangagwa, would actually seek to stop him, because what he is proposing is not comfortable proposals to those who actually put him in power. And I must attest to you that these proposals would be short-lived. They would not see the light of the day. Obviously, cabinet approving and most probably some activities in parliament may see the light of the day, but implementation, I doubt it will see any light of the day. Let me put it as I doubt, and not be actually sure, not because I don't believe in it, but because I've said I will refrain from actually predicting what is likely to happen, when and how, because sometimes you get to arm Mnangagwa, and Mnangagwa as intelligence actually simply counters using the views that they listen to these channels. By the way, they are the first ones to come through and listen. So we don't want to be giving them notes. We should actually allow them to actually roam around the bush and continue to make a lot of mistakes. But definitely, this from Professor Jonathan Moyo and Mnangagwa isn't actually doing each other favor. Someone is revenging, someone thinks is getting a strategy because he's selfish. But Professor Jonathan Moyo understands Mnangagwa, understands the selfish nature of Emerson Tambudzo Mnangagwa. Will he risk coming to Zimbabwe? It remains to be seen. It remains to be seen. Obviously, we would love to be back in Zimbabwe. But does he trust Emerson Tambudzo Mnangagwa? I wonder. Anyway, that will also tell us his intellectual capacity. To speak volume to his intellectual capacity. Let me not predict what will happen, but I think within my heart, I know what will happen. I think the probability that he will not come. There is also low probability that he may come. And in the event he comes, he would not be safe under Emerson Tambudzo Mnangagwa. That one I can guarantee you. Thank you very much for watching us. If you are watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button, so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. You can financially support this channel by pressing the join button and be part of our members who are the heartbeat of this channel. You can equally do so by pressing the thanks button and send us stars. Okancubo Mhlabane is signing off. Let me love and leave you. Let's meet on the other side of the live broadcast as I give you